Okay, this is a talk I did at the iMedia Summit in the Hunter Valley, September 2011 in Australia. Powering the Australian economy. My name's Garner. I've worked in performance marketing for over 12 years. I've spent the last 3 years working in Australia, and I've been lucky enough to work for some of the largest brands. And the unique way I've worked on those brands is only being remunerated when we deliver customers. Those brands include Apple, Dell, Lenovo, they include Optus, Big Pond, iTunes, Procter & Gamble, the list goes on, Westfield, etc. Now I like to start all my talks by giving a personal guarantee, and I will do that today. I think if you understand what I'm going to say, you will find at least one idea that you'll be able to implement when you get back to your office that will start to begin to generate you more revenue. And you'll see this little guarantee sign throughout the presentation. Some of the quickest wins I feel that you can take away from this talk today. So powering the Australian economy. Now we all know that mining has a significant contributing factor, and I have a white paper here actually authored by Deloitte which says that internet in Australia rivals iron ore exports, and that's 3.6% or $50 billion per annum. And that's quite a lot of money. Now how is that split up? It's not all online or e-commerce spend, it's actually made up of time saving and cost efficiencies through the internet. About $27 billion is from time saving and cost efficiencies. But today I'm talking about the internet, and particularly Australian usage of the internet. 80% of people, according to e-consultancy, in Australia have purchased online in the last 12 months. And the internet is really fundamentally part of our everyday lives. There was a study by the BBC that Eric Schmidt quoted from Google that said that 4 in 5 people believe that access to the internet is a human right. And obviously in Australia we use social networking more than any other country in the world. So why are we here? This talk was done for the iMedia Brand Summit. And the key thing about the Brand Summit is the quality of the delegates, the attendees. They're very knowledgeable, insightful, they're high achievers. There was about $500 million worth of decision makers in the room. That represents almost 25% of the online expenditure of Australia, and they all have the ability to influence others with the decisions they make. They also, as we work in marketing, there's quite a lot of bullshit in our industry, and these people that we're speaking to have the ability to smell and see straight through that. Why am I here? I'm obviously, as I said, keen to convert site visitors into customers. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So I asked the question to the audience, who here spends money on media? Being a media summit, everyone puts their hands up. Similarly, who here spends their money on retention and lifetime value? Everyone put their hand up. And who here spends money on increasing conversion? And again, everyone put their hand up. The key thing that we've seen, some of the statistics say that for every $1 spent on improving on-site conversion, there's maybe $92 spent on media. And that's a massive disparity, and I want to dig a little deeper into why that is. And again, there's $2.45 billion spent on online media last year, and this pile here denotes $100 bills, and there's $2 billion here. 50% of that is probably spent on search, but on the same ratio, $26 million would be spent on improving conversion. So you can see again, down the size of this disparity. So if I'm asked by agencies or publishers, and I'm often am, how do we increase customers threefold in the next 12 months? I usually get this response. If you spend 3 times as much money on media and generate 3 times as much traffic, you assume the same conversion, you achieve your goal, 3 times as many customers. But actually, if you look at it a different way, if you were to improve conversion threefold, you wouldn't have to spend any more money on media and you would achieve exactly the same goal. We all know today that consumer reviews, word of mouth, is far more trusted in the purchase intent than advertising. We all know that peer-to-peer reviews from strangers are more trusted than actual advertising. And it's very interesting because still we spend money in the billions on media. And actually some of the greatest products that we use in our everyday lives haven't had a great deal of advertising spent on them. So can you remember the first time you did your Google search? How did you hear about that? What about the first time you downloaded iTunes, you bought an iPhone or an iPod? Very little was spent on advertising, more about creating conversations and positive advocacy around these great products. And again, some of the biggest online institutions today, Facebook and Twitter, they're all about capturing conversation. And it's actually those capturing of conversations that have made them so valuable from a market cap perspective. Okay, so we're going to zoom out now. We're going to look at our English-speaking cousins in the US and the UK. We're going to compare against Australia. So if we look at the online expenditure reports from the IAB, you can see that it's a very small piece of the pie, Australia, 2.4 billion. But actually, the important thing is when we represent that per capita, and we look at the adult internet audience, we're spending more in Australia than in the UK and the USA per capita on media. So let's compare the retail spend, and again, this is IAB data. In Australia, about $12 billion was spent last year online. And when we look at that per capita, we can see that actually Australians are spending more per annum, per capita, than the US. Now, in the UK, they're 3 times as much money per person is being spent online. Now, I'm from the UK, and actually the UK is a pretty near perfect digital economy. There's not much else perfect about that economy right now, but actually if you've been to the UK, you went shopping there, you'd find that you'd be stuck in queues, it'd be raining, you probably wouldn't have a mall nearby, you wouldn't get parking, so buying online is a real easy shift in behaviour. Now the key thing is when we look at the ROAS, the return on advertising spend, which is a term in Australia we're familiar with, we see that we're getting about 5 to 1 on average return. Now if you compare that to your own search marketing, your own display advertising campaigns, you'll find that is quite a good benchmark. Plus 5, 10, or 15 to 1 ROAS is really good. And the UK are getting 3 times as much return on advertising spend as the US and the Australian market. It's really key to remember that benchmark. So if we consider the chain, media, conversion and retention, what we see is there's a weak link in the chain. We perhaps think that conversion is broken. And actually, when we dig a little deeper, we look at some of the great institutions in Australia like David Jones, who have now got online presence and investing in their online presence, we can see that they can make simple changes to improve that online presence, to increase conversion. Here's an example. I've gone on to put in the basket some cufflinks that I'm interested in buying. I'm now in the shopping cart, in the checkout phase. I want to continue shopping. There's no continue shopping button. It's not a big decision to be able to place this button here. I'm doing a search for the good guys online. I click through to this site. It's a store finder. It's prevalent in the pay-per-click AdWords listing. Now, I want to buy online. I've got this great messaging in the top right. Pay less online. I'm all over that. I put my mouse over that, thinking I'm going to go to the online store. It's not a button. It's not a link. It's no hyperlink. How simple would it be to make that change? Finally, another example is Bingley. They only operate in New South Wales and ACT. And actually, the key about Bingley is everything's negotiable. So you can go in store and start to negotiate for price. It's quite a unique experience in Australia that you can negotiate price in store. Now they've done this great website. They've got online chat, which is proven to increase conversion. And you can negotiate online everything. So I'm looking to buy this Breville. It's $149. I begin this chat window with Debbie. I offer her $110. She comes back to me with a price of $175, which is actually $26 higher than what's on the website. So this experience could be improved significantly. So there's $26 million on conversion. Let's look at it further. If I said to you that we could guarantee a campaign of a 20-to-1 ROAS, everyone would be interested. You compare that to that 5-to-1 benchmark, it's 4 times as good. If I said I could give you a campaign that would guarantee you a 50-to-1 ROAS, everyone would be very excited. That's 10 times the average benchmark. But if I was to say to you that I could change your mindset or your mentality of your business, it would be a paradigm shift, and you could begin to deliver $500 plus ROAS, I think you'd find that would be very intriguing. So conversion management is just the art of converting site visitors into customers. Right now, on your website, who determines the path? Is it the CEO? Is it the web marketing team? Is it the web design team? Is it your advertising agency? Is it your outsourced development team? Is it user accessibility testers who lived in walled gardens? I suggest it should be these people. These are your digital customers. And every one of those stakeholders that I mentioned before has a key part to play collaboratively in allowing your digital customers to determine the path. And we'll talk about that. This is a typical website funnel from Google. It's quite a good one. There's a 93% conversion from page 2 to page 3, so there's not a lot of drop-off. But actually, if you think about the analogy of a funnel, in the real world, when you put a litre of water into a funnel, you get exactly a litre of water out. Now, if you put that analogy on the web, if you put 100 visitors into a website funnel, you don't get 100 customers out. The website funnel is, as an analogy, is broken. And in fact, the website funnel is more like a colander or a sieve. There are leakage points throughout. And actually, the reason why there are leakage points is that we have this one-size-fits-all mentality towards websites and website design. And why is that? We treat every individual the same. And in fact, if we had some switches and some levers, we could control the flow of customers through the website to get to the goal that we're actually being remunerated for. And if you can get a more absorbed customer experience, then you're probably going to have a happier customer. And actually, there's been some tests which shows that emotional probability and emotional feeling is definitely proportional to purchase intent. So you need your website to always be closing. And remember, we spoke about this $26 million earlier. If you think about supermarkets, the billions of dollars they've spent on basic psychology. When you walk into a store in a supermarket, you go shopping around, the way the products are placed on the shelves, the packaging of the home brand versus the premium brand, the ingredients are nearly the same, but the cost is not. The way they have a bakery at the back to draw you in, smell, or the way they put chocolates by the tills, the checkouts, in order that your kids go screaming mad for them. They've spent millions or hundreds of millions on basic psychology. And they've done this through testing. They haven't done this through guesswork. There's no subjectivity in product placement within supermarkets. So they use objectivity. And again, website design and websites should be built with objectivity, real tangible testing and measurable results. And here's a good example of a company that does it perfectly well. Amazon. This is the first iteration of Amazon back in 1995. If you look at this screen, you'll probably see it gives you all strength, because Amazon now has moved on, it has evolved. And now we have a very different beast. And the thing with Amazon is that they use item-to-item collaborative filtering. They have suggestive selling. And now I actually trust Amazon's recommendation engine. It makes real-time decisions. I look for a book, I get recommended further books. I've actually bought those books and read them and thoroughly enjoyed them. I do the same with music. Now it's interesting, Jeff Bezos, he talks about Amazon passionately at the annual report this year, and one of the quotes I'll give you is, all the effort we put into technology might not matter that much if we kept technology off to the side in some sort of R&D department. We don't take that approach. Technology infuses all of our teams, all of our processes, our decision making and our approach to innovation in each of our businesses. It is deeply integrated into everything we do. And it is that mindset, that collaborative structure to their business that has helped them achieve the most amazing results. And here is an example of that. They have greater revenue per unique user than any of these other massive institutions online. That's Facebook, Google, eBay. Some great information. This is why they are doing conversion management. And at any one time on Amazon's website, they're conducting up to 200 tests in real time. It's a journey for them, an evolution. And the thing with evolution is, we don't have to start at the beginning. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can stand on the shoulders of giants to see much further. We can look at what our competitors do, or what we aspire to be like, and take some of their learnings and apply them into our businesses. So we've got this journey, this evolution, and we'll look at Amazon, just the one facet of Amazon's website over the last 15 years as an evolution. And they haven't done that subjectively, they've done that through testing. They've made those decisions based on results. And this is the journey that everyone should be on, and it starts today if you're not on it already. And it's quite basic at the beginning. It starts at looking A/B testing, then you can move to multivariate testing, then you can look at content targeting, targeting offers and services, and then you're looking at real-time segmentation and suggestive sell, which is where Amazon are playing here. So this is the first guarantee, and I want to, before we start speaking about technology, just take you back to school and say this, because we've been saying this for 5 or 6 years. You have to be deduplicating all of these channels in real time. It can no longer be acceptable to have all these technologies not talking to one another. Affiliate, search, display, SEO. You need one view holistically of the customer, one source of truth. Then you can move on to conversion management technology. And here at DGM we have a whole suite of technologies that we utilise, ranging from the free in Google Website Optimizer all the way up to Web Trends and Maximizer at the top end. These are all plug and play tag technologies, and the important thing about that is that the tests we invent always do this. You can't put weak ideas into technology and expect brilliant results. That's another guarantee. You need great hypothesis usually equals brilliant results. And when we look at Google Website Optimizer as a free tool, it's amazing that during a test which can take up to 2 to 3 months, if you need to change pricing or seasonality kicks in, or if you're a financial institution and you've got compliance with credit card rating, that test is rendered null and void because it doesn't allow for that change. So you need a more amorphous technology. And we usually go for the top end, Web Trends, Maximizer, etc. So the first case study is interesting because if you attended the summit, you would have seen this in great depth. It's actually censored, and if you were one of those attendees at the summit, you would have seen how we devised 6 incremental tests, increasing conversion by up to 300% from 50% each time. And they were simple tests, so looking at colour, coloration of buttons, simple wording, placement of trusted symbols. So I'm going to skip through this, but obviously at the end, if you want to contact me, we can give you more information about this amazing case study. It was to deliver a $50 ROAS, but actually the mindset over a pro-rata 12-month period went on to deliver a $500+ ROAS. Okay, so conversion management. You've built a system that you're always evolving, you're testing. You've got this beautiful garden now in effect. But as any gardener will tell you, there's always, lurking underneath the surface, there's always issues, whether it be weeds or ways to improve. And, you know, with this garden, there are shopping carts being abandoned. We've driven customers all the way to putting things into checkouts, and yet they're abandoning these checkouts, or they're abandoning applications. And PayPal have seen this, and their research states that 45% of shoppers abandon abandoned checkouts in the last 3 weeks. The reasons cited are 47% high shipping costs, hidden costs, postage, taxes, 24% payment options, 27% looking for coupons or price comparison, and actually some people did actually go buy offline. Amazing. So the whole reason we're here again is to talk about converting site visitors into customers. So we've got access to technology that, if you're able to implement, can tie open checkouts, open applications to completed. And if they're not completed, it's able to send an email, customer service-led email, suggesting that there are ways to improve the experience. And this is then driven back to the website in order to convert to a sale. And it's done on a cost per acquisition basis. So what do the Australian government or the privacy policy laws have to state? Well, they have to state that if someone leaves an email address, you're able to contact them about that experience they have had from a customer service perspective. It's a one-time only email, and it's not opt-in marketing, and you can't go on to continue to market to them if they don't respond to that email. So it's a no-brainer when we speak to brands about this, and many big brands are implementing this, and it's a guarantee that if you implement this, you'll see an increase in conversion as a result of shopping cart abandonment. You can just do it on the guest checkout, you don't have to do it on your repeat purchase checkout, so you're only getting new customers and paying for their custom. So this case study, I'm not allowed to mention the brand, but it's a massive global airline. It's not this airline, but I put this picture in because Tiger Airlines, Tiger Airways, they've got issues. Shopping cart abandonment's probably down there on their list of priorities. They've got a lot of other more serious issues, but the case that I'm talking about is a global air carrier. They have a 70% cart abandonment rate and around about a $1,000 average transaction value. And that abandonment rate is when people have decided on the flight, the date, they've chosen the route, the destination, and they're into the booking engine. So at that point there's 70% abandonment. And over last year that worked out, just in Australia alone, there's $56 million in abandoned shopping carts. It's a lot of money. And here's an example of the suggestive sell that you can do as a customer service-led offer. You recently visited this airline. We noticed you didn't complete your online transaction, so we wanted to check if you needed further assistance with your flight inquiry. Now you can go a little bit further than that and ask them actually if we would love for you to return to our site, and as an added incentive we'd like to offer you a 5% discount if you purchase within the next 72 hours. And this email goes on to have a 20% conversion, and over a year that's around about $12 million in revenue, incremental. And airlines pay 1.5% of the flight. That works out about $66 ROAS. Compare that to that 5-to-1 ROAS benchmark on media, it's huge. So, just about shopping cart abandonment, there's some top tips out there. PayPal, they've got some great ones. There's a whole list of them here. Now the key thing about this technology that I'll draw out to you is actually, and it's another guarantee, ask for the email address in the first step of the checkout. Explain that you will contact the customer only if there's a problem with the order. If they abandon, there is a problem. And guess who does this? Our old friends Amazon. I'm a new customer, here's the email address. Just helps you cast the net wider when you send those emails out for abandonment. So finally, the garden is complete, it's beautiful, we're really happy. We've improved on-site conversion. We've fixed the weak link in the chain, it's no longer an issue. We've spent a little bit more on doing that, and now we're happy. And when we're happy, we can start to spend more money on media. Because we all love media, we're addicted to spending money on media. And after all, media is just about generating traffic upstream to the website. So if we fix conversion, then media is what we want to be doing. This case study is really important. It's for UNICEF, so we do the search for UNICEF, SEO. And actually right now in the news, there's this really horrible famine going on in East Africa. It affects Kenya, Somalia, and a few other countries as well. You'll have all seen this in the news. It's not a pleasant situation, and we're all very concerned. So actually what's happening is people are searching for famine more and more, and this spike, the UN have declared it a significant famine in the last 40 years. So what we spoke to UNICEF about is social SEO. This is another guarantee. We found this infographic about what social SEO is, and it's about creating content and then seeding it out to the already interested parties via Facebook, Twitter, and social networks. So we like this infographic, and we produced a similar infographic as to what we're going to do for UNICEF's strategy. And then we actually see that people love infographics as well. I mean, infographics show data visually, and the number of searches for infographics over the last 2 or 3 years increased exponentially. So we suggest to UNICEF they create an infographic, and they do. And here it is. The problem in Africa is threefold. There's conflict, there's increased food pricing, and there's the worst drought in decades. And this is how many people will be affected. There's over 2 million children under 5. The whole purpose of this infographic is to try and get people to donate. So we say how much money they're going to need in donations, and UNICEF reckon in Australia $32 million will help. And the money will be spent on vaccinations, clean water, food, etc. But the whole purpose of this is to get people to donate. So what we do is tweet it on their Twitter account, which has 6,500 followers, which is great. It's automatically out there. We see conversations on Mashable, and we know that Mashable's a great place and they're talking about the crisis in East Africa, and we retweet their information, and we also tweet the infographic, which is great. They retweet that, which is even better, because they have 2.5 million followers globally. So we've gone from 6,500 to 2.5 million in one tweet. Then we post it on their Facebook page, which has 4,500 fans. What's actually happening is in the blogosphere, the story is being picked up virally. And after all, virally is a strategy. It's not an accident. We post it onto this visually, and it's actually a great website of infographics, and it quickly becomes the #1 infographic in politics, and it's liked thousands of times. You can search for it, UNICEF infographic. And then Google begins to pick up this brilliant content and all these backlinks and this link bait, and send people through the indexes, increasing the clicks, the click-through rate, the relevancy, the SEO rankings. And we're measuring all the time this through analytics, and we're measuring the donations as well. Finally, the mainstream media picks up this momentum, and they put a story out there, and right at the bottom they actually talk about the infographic and link back to it as well. So this is like lighting dynamite. The fuse goes and burns and you're creating some momentum, and then you get an explosion, a proliferation of news at very low cost. So what's actually happening is all these channels are working independently together to promote this infographic and obviously to promote the donation. We've seen some great results around that, and we've measured them. There was a 500% increase month on month in donations from a baseline. There's a $60 ROAS from this campaign, and that's a 100% increase month on month. And that's really all I've got time to talk to you about today. I just want to quickly recap, though, some of those guarantees. But firstly, this is one. If you talk to people the way advertising talk to people, they punch you in the face. Now let's go through these guarantees again. Together, design, test, and can be measured objectively. Always deduplicate multiple channels. Place email capture on first field of checkout or application. And remember, with technology, weak hypothesis does not equal great results. Okay, thanks.